What's going on, everyone? I'm Devin. Today's video is going to be 3 of my tips to help you prepare for the physical aspects of Air Force basic training. So the first tip is pretty simple. If you haven't already, get off your butt and start moving. Whether it be walking, hiking, running, swimming, cycling, whatever. Start getting used to moving constantly, because in basic training, you'll be doing a ton of marching and a ton of running. Both of which, if you don't prepare for beforehand, are going to really suck and it's going to bring your morale down. I have a previous video about overall movement mileage and running mileage and whether it actually makes a difference. I'll link that in the description box below so you can check that out after this. But overall, the amount doesn't matter, just the fact that you're doing it is much more important. The goal of this is to get yourself moving so that way you can potentially help decrease your rate of injury throughout basic training, because you don't want that high impact of starting a lot of marching and a lot of running without any prep beforehand. Or give your time, the body, to adapt to it, so that way when you're constantly doing it over the 8.5 weeks of basic, you'll be able to perform better and it's not going to wear you down. This goes into kind of focusing on moving so that way you don't have to worry about the running aspect or the marching aspect, and that you'll be able to focus on everything else, which will make the rest of basic training a lot easier. To help prevent injuries, this is going to be great for that, because the last thing you want to do is get injured and then potentially end up staying in basic training even longer than the 8.5 weeks. Some people can get stuck there from a couple days up through several months, and some people even get kicked out depending on the injury because they can't continue training. You're going to end up seeing kind of a theme with all of this, that it's going to end up making the rest of basic training easier to focus on by decreasing the physical portion of it and how much that actually impacts you. Next up is going to be the focus on the primary movements that you'll be doing during your PT sessions during basic. So other than running, you'll be doing a lot of bodyweight calisthenics movements. So you're going to be doing like air squats, burpees, push-ups, sit-ups, isometric holds, and practicing those is going to make you much more efficient at them. Now, we all know that the PT test consists of push-ups, sit-ups, and the run, so I would advise focusing on being able to do push-ups and sit-ups very effectively before going in, so you don't have to focus on the movement while you're in basic training, and you can just kind of do the motion from almost muscle memory itself. With push-ups, I would say work them out pretty predominantly, because they are something that's going to matter and potentially cause a pass or fail for basic, depending on that PT test that you have to take during it. You can also do push-up variations, so you can do like your diamond push-ups or close grip push-ups. You can do archer push-ups, pseudo planche push-ups, and a simple Google search will bring you up exactly how to do all of these. I'm not going to be demonstrating them in this video, but all of those are a bit harder than your standard push-up, and it's going to help you improve even more, so you're not doing sets of like 50, 60, 70 push-ups potentially, because that amount of volume can be detrimental to your body. As well as the intensity that you'll be working out at is going to be a lot lower per rep. So if you increase that intensity per rep, you're going to be getting a much greater strength gain from that, which will help tie into a 1-minute timed push-up max exertion test. Similar thing with sit-ups, you're going to want to have practice with them, as well as doing other exercises that'll work your abdominals as well, because the sit-ups themselves tend to work your hip flexors a lot, and with that your abdominal muscles don't actually contract or do much of the work. So if you have stronger abdominals, it's going to help reduce the amount that your hip flexors are activated during it. Doing the sit-up properly will also help prevent those hip flexors from activating so much. But other things you can do besides your basic sit-ups, you can do planks, you can do 6 inches, where you keep your feet 6 inches off the ground and hold that isometric pose for, let's say, 45 seconds or a minute. You can do flutter kicks, you can do like the 6 inches and then raise your legs 6 inches, Spread your feet out, down, in, and then keep doing that motion over and over again for a full minute. This will help add some dynamic aspect to that isometric hold, especially if it starts getting easy to do that for like that 45 seconds or a minute. Something else that you might want to look into doing a little bit are pull-ups or any rowing type exercise. So inverted rows, which are a progression towards being able to do a pull-up. Reason being, this will help work out your back to help offset all of the pushing exercises that you'll be doing, which are the dominant aspect of what you'll be doing in basic training. And those pulling exercises will be helpful for your overall strength as well as back development and potentially injury prevention as well. The third tip, some of you might not consider so much as a physical portion of it, but I think it is, and that's working on getting on a set schedule for everything you do during the day. So waking up at the same time, eating at the same times, working out at the same times, going to sleep at the same times. Reason being, it's one less thing that you'll have to worry about when you're in basic, so that way you can just work on a routine, stick with the routine that you're given at basic, and then again focus on everything else besides those physical aspects. Overall, this is what I'd recommend doing to help you out, so that way that physical portion of basic isn't going to be so difficult for you. And if you like the video, give it a like. Again, I'll have that video in the comments section below, or I guess the description section, about the overall movement mileage and whether that actually matters a whole lot. Also check out my other video on the best ways to prep for the 1.5 mile run. That'll also be linked down in the description box. So until next time, have a good one, and your mileage may vary.